February 9th, 2024. A day that should have been full of laughter, joy, and love. A day when people around the world celebrate life, family, and special moments. But for Lyric Backus and her 7-year-old son, Deuce, this day would become something entirely different. Something unimaginable, something that would change everything. Seagoville, Texas, a small town tucked away from the bright lights and fast pace of city life, was rocked by a tragedy no one saw coming. It was supposed to be the happiest day of Lyric's life. A mother full of ambition and love, celebrating her 28th birthday, the culmination of years of hard work, perseverance, and dreams come true. She was a woman who had built an empire from nothing. A single mother whose life was defined by determination and an undying love for her son. And then in the blink of an eye, it all came to an end. On that fateful day, the town of Seagoville would be thrust into the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. 2 innocent lives were snuffed out in the most horrific way imaginable. A mother and her precious son found dead in a car, inside their own garage. The garage door closed tight, the engine running, and no one knew why. What began as a simple birthday turned into one of the most chilling and baffling cases ever to haunt this quiet community. Was it just a tragic accident, an unthinkable mistake that led to their untimely deaths? Or was there something far more sinister lurking behind the closed doors of Lyric's peaceful life? Imagine this. You're a parent, living your everyday life, going through the motions until one day, everything you thought you knew about your loved ones is called into question. This case, this tragedy, has left an entire community searching for answers, desperately trying to piece together the fragments of what happened that day. And so, here we are. We're about to dive deep into this case, uncovering the layers of mystery, the unanswered questions, and the unsettling silence that followed. What led Lyric and Deuce to that car in the garage? Was it an accident? Or was something more calculated at play? But there's something else we need to address. As we uncover more, there's one question that keeps haunting this case. Why has no one spoken up? Why is the father of Lyric's son completely silent? No statements. No expressions of grief. Nothing. And when it comes to a case like this, silence speaks volumes. Stick around, because today we're diving deep into the case of Lyric Backus and her son Deuce. We're going to examine the facts, the theories, and the strange circumstances that have left everyone questioning what really happened. Was this just a tragic accident, or is there something darker at play? We may never know the full truth, but we'll get as close as possible. Welcome to City Crime Tales. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button now. You won't want to miss out on the latest true crime investigations that we'll be breaking down in upcoming videos. Lyric Backus wasn't just another face on Instagram. She was a woman who embodied resilience and determination. She wasn't born into wealth or privilege. Instead, she built her life from the ground up, a self-made entrepreneur who turned a dream into reality. Born in 1996, Lyric's journey was one of grit, hard work, and a relentless pursuit of success. Her story was one that inspired thousands of people across the world. But behind every successful woman is a complicated story, a story that wasn't always as perfect as it seemed on the surface. As a single mother to her son, Deuce, Lyric juggled the chaos of motherhood with the demands of running a business. And she made it look easy. With her online boutique, Lyric's Closet, she managed to create an empire that earned her tens of thousands of followers across the country. What began as a small venture out of her living room exploded into a nationwide success, drawing attention from women who admired her style, her hustle, and her authenticity. Her Instagram was a window into her life, Photos of her stylish outfits, the laughter-filled moments with Deuce, and glimpses of her business success. Her followers didn't just see her as an influencer. They saw her as someone they could relate to. A single mother building her brand from nothing while making sure her son had everything he needed. Her story was one that resonated deeply with women who were balancing similar dreams, striving for success, but never forgetting the importance of family. But despite all the public success, there was one thing that remained shrouded in secrecy: the identity of Deuce's father. For years, despite constant curiosity from her followers, Lyric kept that part of her life tightly guarded. No matter how many comments, how many questions, she kept her personal life under wraps. Who was Deuce's father? Why was he never featured in her posts? Was he someone from her past, or was there something more complicated at play? Her followers couldn't help but wonder, and the silence only deepened the intrigue. Lyric was a woman who shared so much of her life with her audience, yet this one piece of the puzzle was kept carefully hidden. Was it a matter of privacy, or was there more to this mystery than anyone realized? What could have been the reason for this secrecy? And why, after everything, did Lyric protect this part of her life so fiercely? As Lyric's brand grew, so did the questions. What started as a simple decision to keep her personal life private began to feel like something more. A carefully crafted narrative that left the world wondering who the real Lyric Backus was. Was everything as perfect as it seemed? Or were there shadows lurking beneath the bright facade of success? While she built her business and amassed a loyal following, there was a side to her life that very few knew about. Could the decisions she made in private come back to haunt her? As we dig deeper into this case, we'll uncover the layers of Lyric's world, what she revealed to the public, what she kept hidden, and how everything would come crashing down in a way that no one could have predicted. Her success was undeniable. Lyric's closet was thriving, and Lyric herself was on top of the world. But there was a price to pay for success, a cost that Lyric may have never fully understood until it was too late. What do you think Lyric's secrecy about Deuce's father meant? Was it simply a privacy choice, or was there something more behind it? Could this hidden truth be part of a much bigger story? Drop your thoughts below and let's talk about it. February 9th, 2024. Lyric's 28th birthday should have been the happiest day of her life. She was a mother, an entrepreneur, and on the verge of another year of success. The world was her oyster. She woke up that morning with a smile, excited to celebrate with the people she loved the most, her son Deuce. The morning was full of promise as she posted her cheerful birthday selfie on Instagram, a happy picture of a mother who had everything going for her. She was ready for the day ahead, a celebration with Deuce, a little shopping, maybe a nice dinner. She had it all planned out. Lyric was a woman who balanced work and motherhood seamlessly, and today was supposed to be a day of celebration, a reward for all the hard work she had put into building her business and raising her son. She had all the reasons to be happy. The day started just like any other. Lyric got Deuce ready for school, packed his lunch, and they shared their usual playful banter before heading out the door. Deuce, her bright-eyed 7-year-old, was excited to head off to school. They spent a few quiet moments together before Lyric dropped him off. A quick wave goodbye, and then Deuce was off, ready to take on his day at school. Lyric, however, had errands to run. She was on top of everything, managing her business and keeping things running smoothly. The day seemed completely normal, just like every other day before it. By early afternoon, the two were back at their Seagoville home. Lyric arrived and parked the car in the driveway. The world still felt normal. Nothing seemed out of place. She went inside, likely settling in to catch up on work or take a breather before picking up Deuce from school. The day should have been full of small joys, checking social media, packing orders for her boutique, maybe even a moment of quiet reflection. But as the hours passed, something shifted. The joy, the celebration, everything began to fade. As the evening approached, Lyric's phone began to buzz. Her followers, her friends, her family, they were all wishing her a happy birthday. But something was different. Lyric, the woman who never missed a call, wasn't responding. This wasn't like her. Her birthday cake sat untouched on the counter, a reminder of what was supposed to be a celebration. No photos, no updates, no stories, nothing. Her phone buzzed with messages, but she remained silent. Something wasn't right. By 8:30 p.m., panic started to set in. Lyric's friend, Jessica, who had planned to join the birthday celebrations, became increasingly worried. She hadn't heard from Lyric all day. No messages, no phone calls, not even a simple check-in. It was unlike her, and Jessica knew it. She tried reaching out, calling, texting, but nothing. No reply. Lyric's silence was deafening. That's when Jessica made the decision. She called 911 for a welfare check. Something was wrong, and Jessica needed answers. At 9 p.m., the Seagoville police arrived at Lyric's house. They approached the front door, knocking, but received no response. The house, usually bustling with energy, stood still. It felt empty, frozen in time. After several more attempts to make contact, the officers made the decision to enter the home. What they discovered would haunt them forever. The door opened with ease. Inside, everything seemed normal. Breakfast dishes were still in the sink. A backpack from school was lying near the door. The phone charger was plugged in, but no one was there. Lyric and Deuce were gone. Where could they have gone? And why wasn't anyone answering? Then the officers turned to the garage. The sound of a running engine drifted through the air. They approached the door cautiously and tried the handle. Locked from the inside. The officers forced it open. And that's when everything changed. In the front seat of Lyric's car sat the lifeless bodies of Lyric and Deuce. Both were motionless. Lyric in the driver's seat, her head tilted back as if she had simply fallen asleep. Deuce was beside her, securely strapped in his seatbelt, his tiny body still. No signs of struggle. No visible injuries. Just the eerie stillness of two lives lost far too soon. The engine was still running. The garage door was still shut. And in that moment, the horrific truth became clear. Carbon monoxide poisoning had taken their lives. Officers called for paramedics, but it was too late. Lyric and Deuce had been dead for hours. The reality of their deaths was as shocking as it was tragic. This wasn't just a simple accident. The circumstances surrounding their deaths, everything from the timing to the unanswered calls, felt wrong. The community, still in disbelief, would soon find out that this wasn't just another tragic incident. It was a mystery that no one would be able to solve so easily. Why were Lyric and Deuce in the garage? Why was the car running? Was it an accident? Or was there something more to this tragedy than anyone could possibly imagine? Can you imagine the fear of a friend when they realize something's wrong? What would you do if you were in Jessica's shoes? Would you call 911? How would you react to the silence that had settled in? Let us know your thoughts below. Carbon monoxide poisoning. The silent killer. It's the kind of threat you can't see, hear, or smell. It sneaks into your lungs, steals your breath, and leaves no trace of itself behind. This invisible gas, colorless and odorless, is one of the deadliest forces you'll ever encounter. And it's what took the lives of Lyric Backus and her 7-year-old son, Deuce, on that fateful February day. Experts say that carbon monoxide can take a life in just 15 minutes in an enclosed space like a garage. That's how deadly it is. 1 minute, you're breathing in the same air as always, and the next, you're unconscious, overcome by this lethal gas. The gas travels easily through the bloodstream, binding to red blood cells and preventing oxygen from reaching vital organs. It's a killer that moves swiftly and silently, making it almost impossible to detect until it's too late. And yet, despite the science of it all, there are still so many questions surrounding what happened that day. Lyric and Deuce were in the garage, a small enclosed space that trapped the very gas that would take their lives. But why were they in that car? What led them to retreat to the garage of all places? Was it simply a matter of being inside while the car warmed up, or was something else going on that no one could see? The timeline of their deaths raises even more questions. How long had Lyric and Deuce been in the garage before they were discovered? The officers arrived hours later, but could they have died much earlier? So, what were they doing in that garage? It wasn't just an accident. It couldn't have been. There were too many unknowns, too many details left unexplained. How long had they been trapped by the deadly gas? And more troubling still, did they try to escape? The absence of any signs of struggle in the garage is what makes this case so unnerving. No frantic attempts to open the door, no signs that Lyric had tried to escape with Deuce in tow. No attempt to call for help. The way the two were found, calm, motionless as if they had simply fallen asleep, doesn't match the typical signs of someone suffocating from carbon monoxide. There were no frantic gasps for air. No indication that they had tried to leave or seek safety. This lack of response to the gas filling their lungs raises unsettling possibilities. Could it be that they were aware of the danger but never had the chance to act? Or had they succumbed to the effects of carbon monoxide before they even realized what was happening? The first signs of poisoning include dizziness, headaches, and confusion, symptoms that might have made it difficult for Lyric to think clearly or get out of harm's way. Could they have been too disoriented to understand what was going on? Could they have been too late to act? The facts are clear. Carbon monoxide poisoning is a silent killer. It doesn't give you a chance to fight back. But the timeline of their deaths only raises more questions. Were they inside that garage for hours, breathing in the toxic fumes? Or had they only entered the garage shortly before the officers arrived, leaving enough time for the gas to take effect? It's a mystery that the police and the public are still grappling with. Now the investigation is stuck in a frustrating limbo. The police have not released many details about their findings, leaving a lot of gaps in the story. They've confirmed the cause of death, carbon monoxide poisoning, but they haven't revealed how long Lyric and Deuce were in that garage before they were found. Were they in the car for hours or did the poison claim them in minutes? The silence around the investigation only deepens the mystery. As the investigation continues, the questions pile up. Could more have been done to prevent this? Could Lyric have known the dangers of carbon monoxide poisoning and still made the fatal decision to start the car? Or was there something more to the story that no one could have foreseen? The details of their deaths are still wrapped in uncertainty. The only thing that's clear is the tragedy of it all. A mother, a son, two lives taken by something as simple as a car engine running in a garage. And yet, it's not just a tragic accident. There's something more. Something that doesn't add up. And the more we learn about carbon monoxide and its devastating effects, the more questions we find. How do you feel about the lack of information from the police in this case? Do you think more should have been done to investigate the circumstances of Lyric and Deuce's deaths? Or is this a case of a tragic accident that just can't be fully explained? Share your thoughts below and let's discuss. There's one part of this case that has baffled everyone: the complete silence from the father. No statement. No condolences. Not a single word. Lyric's alleged partner, a prominent Dallas rapper, has completely disappeared from the conversation. The man who may have been Deuce's father, the one whose connection to Lyric remained shrouded in secrecy for so long, never once stepped forward to speak. While Lyric's death was mourned by friends, family, and followers alike, the man who may have been Deuce's father never showed up at the funeral. He didn't respond to media inquiries, nor did he issue any public statements about his son's tragic passing. Not a single word. In the world of social media, where every moment is shared, where grief and sympathy flood the timelines of those left behind, his absence spoke louder than any words could. Why did this man remain so silent? Was it a legal strategy, something designed to protect him? Or was there something deeper, something more troubling behind his complete withdrawal from the situation? His silence is so striking it raises even more questions. In a case like this, where emotions run high, where the world is searching for answers, how could someone who was so intimately connected to Lyric and Deuce simply vanish from the narrative? His absence becomes the elephant in the room, casting a long shadow over the investigation. Was he protecting himself? Was he in fear of being implicated in something far darker? Or does his silence point to something else entirely? Lyric had kept her personal life tightly under wraps, especially when it came to Deuce's father. She was careful, almost too careful, about revealing any details of her relationships. For years she kept people guessing, carefully guarding her son's father from the public eye. Was there a reason for this secrecy? Was there a connection that no one knew about, perhaps one that had the potential to unravel everything Lyric had built? This careful control of her personal life has only added to the mystery surrounding Lyric's death. If Lyric's partner had been truly involved in her life, in the life of Deuce, why did he remain hidden during the aftermath of such a devastating event? Was it because of some sort of agreement, some unspoken rule in their relationship, or was it something more? Could this silence be the key to understanding what happened? Could it unlock the truth behind this tragedy? Or does it simply add another layer to a mystery that already seems too complicated to unravel? There's something deeply unsettling about the way this man has completely removed himself from the narrative, almost as if he's protecting something far more dangerous than we could ever imagine. Was he simply protecting his own interests? Or is there more to the story? The kind of silence he's chosen to adopt raises questions that to this day remain unanswered. Some believe his silence could be a sign of guilt, a way to avoid drawing attention to himself while the investigation continues. In cases like this, it's common for people to retreat into silence when they fear they could be implicated. But could this silence also be a sign of caution? Legal experts might say that staying quiet is the best option when you're connected to a tragedy like this. Maybe he's waiting for the investigation to clear up before speaking. Or maybe, just maybe, there's something more sinister that he's hiding. His absence at the funeral, his complete refusal to speak to the media. These actions create a void that no one can ignore. It's almost as if he's been erased from the story entirely. But in doing so, he has only heightened the suspicion surrounding the case. And as more questions about Lyric and Deuce's death continue to surface, the public can't help but wonder, what role did he play in this tragedy? Did he have a hand in it? Or is he simply a man caught in the web of a situation he's now desperate to distance himself from? Whatever the reason for his silence, the questions remain. As the community rallies around Lyric and Deuce's memory, demanding justice, the silence of the father has become the loudest voice in the room. What does it mean? And why hasn't anyone spoken up in defense of the truth? What do you think the father's silence means? Is it a sign of guilt or simply caution? Is there something he's hiding? Or is it just a man trying to avoid the media frenzy? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. The truth may be closer than we think, but we'll need to keep asking the right questions to find it. The tragedy that struck Seagoville on February 9, 2024, left an indelible mark on the community. Lyric Backus and her son Deuce were loved by so many. Lyric was more than just an entrepreneur. She was a mother, a friend, and an inspiration to those around her. Her story was one of triumph, a story of building something from nothing. Deuce, her vibrant and joyful son, was adored by the people in their small town. Together they were a symbol of hope, resilience, and the beauty of family. But now, with their untimely deaths, the community was left reeling, unsure of what to believe. The community responded the only way they knew how, by rallying together. Vigils were held in honor of Lyric and Deuce. Tributes poured in from every corner of the town. Friends, neighbors, and strangers alike came to express their grief and share their memories of the two. The memorial at their home, where Lyric had worked so hard to build her dream, became a place for the community to come together, to remember, and to mourn the lives that had been taken too soon. It was a testament to their memory, a reminder that Lyric and Deuce would never be forgotten. But even as the community gathered in solidarity, a dark cloud loomed over their grief. The mystery of what really happened on that fateful day in the garage was far from solved. While the police had publicly labeled the incident a tragic accident, just another senseless loss due to carbon monoxide poisoning, there were many who were not content with that explanation. The questions that remained were too pressing, too insistent to be brushed aside. Why was Lyric in that garage in the first place? What made her and Deuce retreat to the car when there was no immediate danger apparent? What happened in those final moments? Was it really just a simple, tragic mistake, or was there something more at play? And perhaps most troubling of all, what role, if any, did Lyric's alleged partner, the man who may have been Deuce's father, have in all of this? His absence, his silence had already raised many red flags, but what did that silence mean in the context of Lyric and Deuce's deaths? The community could not simply accept the idea that Lyric's death was a random tragedy. Too many details were left unexplained. Too many pieces of the puzzle were still missing. The garage, the locked door, the running car, the absence of struggle, it all seemed too odd, too neatly tied up as an accident. For the people who knew Lyric and Deuce, there was no closure in the idea that this was just another freak accident. They needed answers. They needed the truth. And so, the pressure mounted. The community demanded more. They called for further investigation, for a deeper dive into the circumstances surrounding that garage. Could there be more to the story? Could there be someone who knew more than they were letting on? Everyone wanted to know why a successful woman, a loving mother, and her bright son were taken from them in such a violent and mysterious way. The questions seemed endless, and yet the answers remained frustratingly out of reach. The official investigation may have closed the case, but for those who truly knew Lyric and Deuce, this was just the beginning. The grief was too raw, too fresh for the community to simply accept the outcome without question. What they needed was closure. What they needed was justice. But would they ever get it? As more time passed, the demand for answers only grew louder. The community of Seagoville wasn't going to let the memory of Lyric and Deuce fade away. They were determined to keep asking questions, to keep searching for the truth. Their love for Lyric and Deuce was unwavering, and their determination to see justice served was just as strong. But the haunting silence around the case, the silence from those who could have shed light on the truth, left the community stuck in a waiting game. Would they ever get the closure they so desperately needed? Would the truth ever come to light? The truth is out there, but is anyone listening? Will the silence ever be broken? And will the community ever get the closure they deserve, or will they be left with unanswered questions for years to come? Only time will tell, but for now, the people of Seagoville continue to demand answers. Continue to fight for the memory of two lives taken too soon. Do you think the community will ever get the closure they deserve? Will the truth ever come out? Or is this case destined to remain a mystery shrouded in silence? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Lyric Backus and her young son Deuce were two lives full of potential, dreams, and love. Their story, one of a self-made mother and her bright-eyed son, ended tragically, shrouded in mystery and unanswered questions. To those who knew them, this tragedy is something that will haunt their community forever. The pain of losing two loved ones so suddenly is unimaginable, especially when the circumstances surrounding their deaths remain so unclear. What truly happened in that garage? Was this simply a case of an unfortunate accident? Or was there something far darker at play, something that we may never fully uncover? Perhaps we'll never know the full truth. Perhaps there are pieces of the story that will remain hidden, locked away in silence or shadows. But one thing is for certain, this is a story that demands answers. Lyric and Deuce's deaths aren't just another tragedy. They're a mystery that cries out for resolution, for closure, for the truth. We may not have all the answers today, but the story doesn't end here. Lyric and Deuce's legacy lives on in the hearts of those who love them, and in the minds of those who are still searching for the truth. Their deaths remind us all of the dangers we can't see, the questions we must ask, and the stories that deserve to be heard. If this story has touched you, if you feel the weight of the unanswered questions hanging in the air, I urge you to share this video with your friends and family. You never know whose life you might be saving by simply raising awareness about the dangers we often overlook. The dangers of carbon monoxide, the need to ask the hard questions, and the importance of never letting a story fade without closure. If this case has shown us anything, it's that there are people who may need answers, and there are families who may still be living with the consequences of things left unsaid. If this story has inspired you, if you find yourself wondering about the countless other cases like this that remain unresolved, then we invite you to join us on this journey. There are so many other stories out there. Stories of people who've disappeared, families who've lost loved ones, and questions that have gone unanswered for far too long. These are the stories we need to share, the cases that need attention. If you're interested in learning more, or if you want to see more cases that demand justice and answers, don't forget to subscribe to City Crime Tales. Be sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the stories we're uncovering. Thank you for watching today's video. We hope that the story of Lyric, Backus and Deuce will stay with you as it has with us. As we continue to explore more cases, we'll keep asking the questions that matter, digging deeper into the stories that are begging to be told. Your engagement, your comments, and your support help us keep these stories alive, giving them the attention they deserve. See you in my next video.